Welcome to another special episode and podcast of 90 Minutes of Wisdom, a channel dedicated to helping you expand your knowledge and develop a more successful and peaceful mind. My guest today is the founder of Meaghan Long Virtual Solutions, as well as the creator of Freelance to Freedom, virtual assistant coaching for women. She is also so much more and has had an amazing journey that we'll talk all about right now. Welcome to the show, the lovely, resilient, strong Meaghan Long. Welcome, Meaghan.
Hi, Andrew. Thank you so much for having me.
Awesome. It's so good to see you. We did a wonderful podcast together, as you reminded me, which was about fall in 2021. Was that it?
2020.
2020. Wow. Yeah. Just nuts. Time flies so fast. And that was a wonderful talk that we had. And your journey up until then was really exciting and showing your strength and your resilience and your overcoming demons and stuff like that. So I wanted to talk about so much today. I want to cover kind of your journey from like when we left off, so we can update kind of the audience of where you were and where you are today, and of course talk about the amazing stuff that you've launched and new career path and amazing life that you're set out for yourself. So yeah, why don't you begin wherever you feel most comfortable?
Well, if you kind of go back to when you and I last spoke, I was in the process of understanding how to stay sober. And that's really like the core component of how all of the things we get to talk about today really happened. I celebrated 2 years sober last fall, and it's been an incredible journey, not easy. And I'm very grateful that I stayed, and I learned the importance of how to navigate challenging times without having those type of coping mechanisms. And I'm surrounded by a beautiful community that has been a lifeline to me throughout all of it. I also moved from Ontario to New Brunswick during the pandemic, and I moved for a man who's now my husband, and we had Hunter, who actually was born one day before my 1 year soberversary, which was a pretty special moment. A lot of connectivity there for me. And yeah, I mean, since then, I guess life has changed a lot as a new mom and relearning who I am and my identity. And yeah.
Yeah, that's amazing. So I'd love to speak about like some of these tools. Maybe you could share some of these tools that you that keeps you resilient and keeps you on the right path. And not only are you, I feel like you're not like just on the right path, you're on like the bestest path. That's not a word, but like a really wonderful path. So I'd love for you to share some of those wonderful insights, yeah, with the audience.
Absolutely. I am in a program of recovery, and the community there, is very intertwined with faith and connection and understanding that we need to unlearn a lot of what's happened in our life. And a lot of that is based on self-reflection of, what's worked, what's not, and what's next. And there are steps to take to, get out of the ways that I used to live. And I did take that very seriously. And for me, the connection with women has really transformed my life into something that is lovely, and I get to share these experiences on a very deep level on a regular basis, and I get to support other women that are starting their journey in recovery. And those kinds of conversations, they hold a very special place in my heart. As you know, humans, it's sometimes a challenge to find connection when you're struggling, and I know that for myself, watching other people be successful in recovery was something that I love to see, and I often wondered if it would ever be for me. But the power of staying is incredible, and leaning on support when you need it. I'm someone with mental health, and I've accessed psychiatrists and therapists, and a whole roster of people to support my journey as I've gone through it. And yeah.
That's really cool. So maybe let's talk about that. So freelance to freedom, and like, so let's say there is somebody maybe in the audience that sees this, and so what is like, I guess, your niche kind of target audience, who could you help the best, and how would that process like start? Like what would they do to get in contact with you?
So I started my virtual assistant journey in spring of 2021 because I wanted to stay home with Hunter. And I've kind of been taking calculated risks throughout my last few years of my life. And this was something that I felt very passionately about. Like I remember sitting my husband down and telling him, like, this is what I'm going to do, and this is why I want to do it. And it was nerve-wracking. I've worked in the restaurant industry for 16, almost 17 years, and I tried other avenues and it wasn't a fit for me. And a previous mentor told me I had transferable skills, and I didn't really comprehend that, I don't think, until motherhood, when there's a lot of, connectivity into previous things that you've done and how that helps you with your life. So I had launched my business, and I found the support of a coach that I worked one-on-one with, which really transformed my business from um, something that I was really enjoying to something that was a sustainable growth plan. And I've added team members, and I was doing different things. And my previous coach really encouraged me to open a coaching program, and that is something that I did. And I think the last time that you and I talked, something that I had spoken to was wanting to be of service to others, and that's really what the foundation of Freelance to Freedom is. So who do we help? We help ambitious women who are looking for a change in their life, whether it's a career path change, maybe it's an environment change. And the virtual assistant world is just that. You get to work from home. There's a lot of flexibility in the sense you choose your own clients and you choose your own schedule. And there's an unlimited amount of income that you can earn with different skill sets in the industry. And it is a 12-week program. So within the 12 weeks, we, teach you how to launch and grow your business with the 4 pillars of success. And that is business framework. So like understanding how to launch the business portion of that, understanding your ideal client and your niche. We move into client authority, which is probably where I get the most amount of questions, how to talk to clients, where they hang out, and how to land them, and negotiation skills. And then the third component would be sailing into success. So what does like scaling look like for you? And my favorite portion of this would be the mindset piece, the confidence in the mindset, and like the CEO mentality that you should have when you're in business, which can feel really challenging if you're like a mom plus is something else and you're trying to get into the business world.
Yeah, thank you. That's really well said. And I always found that it's something else that's really tough is that it seems like you still remain like very warm and very sweet, like ever since I've known you. And it's nice because often what I'll notice is that people that are in that world, they become much colder, or it just kind of seems to go hand in hand. So how does somebody take that, as you mentioned, CEO like mentality, but also keep like a warm heart?
I think it can feel like a fine line to some people. And I do agree with you. Some people tend to go left or right in that field. You either really lead with your heart center and it doesn't get you places to where you want to go. And then there's the CEO mindset that's not just like on to the next one. It could be like a little cutthroat. And I think that there's a balance between the two. If you lead with your heart and you understand that you are the CEO, meaning there is power within your business, and there is power within your control of how to do things. But there's a kinder way to go about business than just, landing a cold DM or a cold email. If this is a people business, and if you can understand people and you can understand, how to approach things in a positive light, your success rate will just be a lot higher.
Mm-hmm. And what would you say is the proportion? I'm going to put you on the spot of kind of like logic to intuition, or like how much do you feel the right thing, and how much do you like follow a certain formula for the right way?
I've never really been one to follow rules, so I don't know if I'm the best person to ask this. What I do know today is that transferable skills are kind of a requirement, and everyone does have them. So that's kind of like your base knowledge. I think growing an understanding of the industry, as well as how to interact with people in a business manner, is also important. And then the final component 100% would be your gut intuition, and having an understanding of alignment in who you are and who you choose to work with, because these are choices you get to make when you are a CEO.
Really cool. Nice. And for like, let's say, can you give me an idea of some of the people that you help, or maybe somebody that's listening? So we kind of spoke a little bit about freelance to freedom, and I think I'm sure there'll be some people who are interested in that. And what about to maybe have those people that require maybe that different side, that Meaghan Long Virtual Solutions? Like, what kind of people can you help, or what's your target audience or clients for that?
Absolutely. So as far as Freelance to Freedom goes, it's a 12-week one-on-one coaching program at this time. I work one-on-one with women to support their growth in their journey. And during our time together, I teach knowledge, skills, my experience. I share my mistakes so that, they don't have to navigate those waters on their own. And there's ongoing support in between the coaching calls. So it would really look just like this. It's Zoom, it's recorded, so they have copies of it. And then we use Voxer for like voice messaging and texting in between. I have worked with people in Canada, people in the States, and I actually just started working with a client in the UK, which is pretty neat. And I always find social media is so cool for those kinds of things, to bring people together. I only work with women in my business for the coaching side of it, and it tends to be moms. I guess you get what you attract, and that's just kind of the way that it has been. And it's wonderful because my son is 16 months and he can be, a little bit loud, a little bit whatever, and I'm okay with it and they're okay with it. And I think that that's a beautiful thing to kind of be able to have in business. I guess the other side of my business is the virtual assistant team that I have. I have 2 team members, Jessica and Emily, and together we have had some incredible clients that do things that are also very heart-centered. That's kind of the basis of what my business model is as a whole. We've worked so far with a doctor launching a national campaign for ADHD. I have mainly worked with coaches in spaces like mindset and DEI and B in the virtual assistant side of it, and watching and being part of people that are helping people grow and learn and, manage emotions in the workplace is, it kind of has my heart because of my story and because of my journey. And, Jessica and Emily feel the same way. Making an impact over an income means a lot to us. And it's watching businesses change their dynamic as they grow is just an incredible thing to be a part of.
That's beautiful. Yeah, I love that you have always your mind and your heart aligned. That's really wonderful. And for what is like the scope of like a virtual assistant? So what is it like you provide as services? Like maybe just briefly, what's that you can say about that?
We're a pretty robust team at this point. Jessica is very skilled in websites and tech as well as design. And Emily is a rock star with sales and customer service. So like a lot of client facing interactions. And the services that we offer range from general admin to grant research and writing to website maintenance and development, social media management, project management. It's quite an extensive list between the 3 of us with our work experience.
That's amazing. Really, really cool. And you said, so most of that kind of like drawing in new customers or stuff like that comes from like Instagram, and is that mainly Instagram or like Facebook, LinkedIn, all these different platforms you're using, or?
I've actually never had a virtual assistant client from social media, and I think that that's a really big misconception from the internet, that people think that they need to have perfect content and those sorts of things to attract clients. I did some in-person networking back, I guess, last spring, and I've used some websites that are geared towards moms that are getting back into the workplace. And since probably about the fall, my virtual assistant side of the business has been completely word of mouth and referral, which is it's a beautiful thing to see. And I will always speak to that with my coaching clients. Like, word of mouth and referrals are like your absolute, like your power piece, and to definitely lean into that as much as you can. I think networking opportunities are really endless, and yeah.
Okay, cool, amazing. So like I think you explained it really well. Like those sides of Freelance to Freedom. Sounds really, really wonderful for moms, and again, working from home, how important that is, and for because a lot of places it's very tough. I know in Canada it's not too bad with maternity leave. In the United States, it's really not very good at all. It's really, really short, like
Mhm.
insane to me. I don't understand how anyone is able to do it. So those kind of things I think is really, really important. There's a really big need for it, and I also think you're doing it very, very well, because they always say like niche down, like get as close as you can. So being like women that especially, and moms, that's a perfect like niche, and it's so needed right now. And there's I don't want to get political, but we're kind of being a little bit failed, the system's failing a little bit with those things, like the cost of daycare, how many weeks off for women, those kind of things. I think there's a lot of room for improvement personally, and I always see how brave, and I'm always impressed at how mothers are able to cope, because it's like you're taking another full-time job, but it's more than a full-time job because it's not 40 hours. It's
Yeah,
like
I was gonna say,
nonstop.
yeah, 24/7 job plus working, it's a challenge. And
Yeah.
there is daycare crises right now where there's either no space, or like you mentioned, like people are just priced out of it. Um, we're still on a wait list for Hunter, and that's been like over 16 months. I think it's close to 20 months now that we've been waiting, and there's no end in sight for us. So I'm very fortunate to have found virtual assistant work, and I'm happy to share that with other military spouses, other women that are going through the same thing. It's a big topic in mom groups on Facebook and stuff like that. So I'm happy to share knowledge where it makes sense.
Yeah, yeah, no, that's super cool. I mean, really, really, really great. So I would ask you, what let's go like a little, like a level deeper. Okay, so we kind of did the business stuff, super cool, super amazing. So I want to get down to more of like what makes you like great. And I always see that the most successful and wonderful people, they have usually gone through a lot of pain, and come out the other side, and that's how you learn. That's how you get tough. That's how you get that experience. So from that, what advice would you, in maybe in general, just give to mothers, or to women that want to get out, maybe as you said before, get out of that kind of restaurant industry or something. And there's nothing, I've worked many years as bartender, waiter, and all that as well. But yeah, it's good, but it's not. It's, as you, the older you get, the less interesting it becomes. Let's
For
just.
sure. I couldn't agree more. I think as humans, when we get comfortable with something like a job place, it could even be a relationship or an area of living, we just stay there because that's what it is. It's comfortable. And I would really encourage anyone that feels stuck right now to take kind of like a pros and cons list of like what this is costing you. A lot of the time we think that we can stay somewhere because it's okay, or it's comfortable, and people forget that they have the ability to make a choice to change at any point in time. And whether that's, like I said, like a workplace or an industry or a relationship, like you do have that power within yourself to make decisions, to take action and make change. And I know that a lot of that also will stem from choosing to have courage to make a change. And I think that's a core component where people can lean on support and can lean on experts, whether it's someone in a new school, or a coach or a mentor. I think that those people become invaluable to having new experiences. I know for myself, like I'm working with my third coach at this point, and the amount of times that I've changed and pivoted over the last year, it comes with fear, it comes with uncertainty, and to have someone kind of have a path that they've already walked through with you is a really magical experience. So if you're thinking about making a change, if you're thinking about ditching the backup plan, if you're thinking about taking a calculated risk, like just do it. The worst thing that could ever happen is that you go back to the life that you've already had.
Mm. Beautiful. Well said. Yeah, it's a lot of courage. It takes a lot of courage. And you said it right there. Big fan, of, let's say, like all these wonderful people, one of them being Tony Robbins, where he talks about the, being stuck in that gray zone, and one of the most dangerous places when you just make enough money, you're just happy enough. So it's like you're not really motivated. He said if your life's really bad, you're forced to make a change, right?
Mhm.
So that's kind of, yeah, always a dangerous zone, that gray zone to be in, and to get out of that. But it does take tremendous courage, and I don't blame anyone because we're all such creatures of habit, right? So
Sure.
once you get those habits instilled in you, and then we have this fear factor always playing in us that like, oh, and then you have that your mind tricking yourself saying, well, it could be worse, right? It's like, and so it's tough. It's always so much of it I've always found is inner. It's an inner battle, right? In here, it's you against you. You know, how
Of
do you?
course.
Yeah. The unfortunate thing is my mind always tricks myself. My mind's pretty sharp. My other like my little devil mind is always it's a constant battle. It's like, oh, you deserve this. Like you don't have to
Yeah.
do that today, you know, whatever. So yeah, it's tough. But that's really really great. So I would ask you, I guess on a final note, is there any like just general words of wisdom, just general words of wisdom that you know you've gone through, we know you've gone through a lot, and you're living, which I see in you know really nice path and living in joy, and you've earned, I mean you really earned everything you have, and I'm so happy for you and your journey, and it's well deserved, you know, I really know that. That's fantastic. So what's some just some general maybe nuggets of wisdom?
I truly believe today that if you are in like a period of darkness in your life, that it's really important to seek the light, and that might look like, you know, a lifeline through a friend or, you know, some kind of community connection, but there's always a way out. And I encourage anyone that is having, you know, a hard time or a dark time to, you know, have the ability to try and speak up. And again, I know that takes a lot of courage, but people are really here to help you, and you know, having the idea that you want to change or you want to live differently, I promise that there's people that I'll be willing to, you know, walk the path with you if you search for them, and you can make a change at any point in your life. It's not the number of years you've been with someone or how long you've been in that job. You absolutely have the opportunity to make change wherever you're at in your life today.
Very nice. Very well said. So with that, what we'll do is include like so it's going to be an audio version, like a podcast on Spotify and Apple Music and all that, but also on YouTube. So I'll include like the links of everything down below. So is there anything, I'll put them below, but is there any website that you want to just say right now that one for people listening?
Meaghan Long Virtual Solutions site.
Okay. Meaghan Long Virtual Solutions
Site, yeah.
site. Okay, cool. So that's where they can reach you. That's the best place to reach you.
Yeah, that or Instagram, but I can give you the link for that.
Yeah, okay, cool. Amazing. Okay, so with that, look, I'll say thank you so much for sharing today and your wonderful journey. And, you know, sooner rather than later, but I would love to continue as, you know, follow your success in your life and seeing how you're making it, you know, super magical. And I think it's an inspiration to many people, including myself. So thank you so much, Meaghan. And I'll wish you a wonderful day and success with all your upcoming projects and with your business.
Thank you, Andrew.
Okay. Have a wonderful day. Okay. Bye.
Bye.